Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to Lean and Clean with Fitness Chef Christine. I'm Christine, your host, and today we are going to talk a little bit about you happier. This book is dedicated to a happier brain. And one of the parts of the book that I love so much, I encourage you to check it out. It talks about choosing foods that love you back. So foods that you love that love you back. And what does that mean? That means that not only do they taste good and that you like them, but they're gonna make your brain and your body healthier. It talks about the brain-gut connection. And so as I was listening and reading, I noticed a pattern that what's good for your brain and your body are things that I teach every day. Talking about unprocessed natural foods, good amount of protein, good amount of veg and fruits and fermented foods. So I'll leave you to take a look at the book, and I will put some references in the show notes, so be sure to take a look at that. But in that line of thinking, I wanted to do a spaghetti squash that's stuffed today. Then we get all of our happy foods in one place, and it tastes delicious. So let's get started. The first thing that we're gonna do is cut our spaghetti squash in the center. So not lengthwise, in the center. So I'm just gonna come in here and just split this in half. And then we're gonna scoop it out. Now, I want to make sure that it sits flat on my board, or on the pan rather. So we're gonna come right over here and just trim off the bottom. So now it sits nice and flat. And we're just gonna trim off the bottom of the other side. And the nice thing about this is that then you can eat it right out of there, like a little bowl. Makes for happy food and less cleanup. All right, let's scoop all this out with. So we might get a really nice job of cleaning out all of the seeds and the stringy part that come with the seeds. And I find that the back of a spoon works really nicely, or in this case, the back of a measuring spoon, because that's what I have handy. And we're just gonna scrape and scrape. It reminds me of when you're a kid and you do pumpkins. Get all that, and then I'm gonna compost those seeds. And once they are composted, my bet is they'll probably grow, but that's okay. All right, when you get to this point, sometimes it's nice to take a little knife and just clean up those edges. So we get all that, the slimy, I call it the slimy part out. So that's what we want. We're gonna get rid of all that so that we have a nice clean interior. Then, as usual, I have a pan set aside. We're just gonna go ahead and put that there. I'm gonna do the same thing with the other one, just scoop it out. And then we will go ahead and add a little bit of olive oil and rub with some salt. And then we're gonna flip it over so that it bakes upside down. And that little bit of steam and the oil in there will really help to make it cook nicely and get all that spaghetti loveliness separated. Those are technical terms, spaghetti loveliness. All right, again, we're gonna scrape out all that interior, that slimy that we don't want, because that can be very bitter once it cooks. Now, you could roast these seeds if you wanted to. And I've made another video to show that, so you can see that one. All right, once you get all of the guts out, we'll move that aside. We wanna keep a nice clean work area. So I always put a wet towel under my board so that it doesn't slide around. If we don't want anything to slip and cut ourselves or anything like that, safety is super important. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a little bit of olive oil and just go in. If it gets some out of the pan, that's no worries. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and add some kosher salt. I like kosher salt because it flakes nicely, but sea salt works as well. And we're gonna flip them over. So this is gonna bake until it's fork tender. That means I can poke a fork into the exterior part of the squash and it's nice and soft. And you'll see that it collapses in on itself a little bit. So I'm putting it in a 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes. We'll check it, and we wanna just make sure it's soft. And then we'll come back, I'll show you, we're gonna make the filling, and then we'll put it all together, and it is gonna be delicious. For the filling, it's gonna be very simple. We're just gonna come in here, and we're gonna take an onion, and we're gonna dice that onion, we're gonna saute it, and then we're gonna add our ground lamb. Ground lamb. You can use ground beef, you can use any ground meat that you like, turkey, whatever you have. But lamb happened to be what was on special this week, so that's what I bought. And I really like lamb. I grew up with lamb, so I'm a big fan. But if you are not, certainly use what you have, because this will be good no matter what you put in it. And if you're a vegetarian, keep it all veg and you're still great. Okay. Okay, we're gonna just move that aside. And we'll do this one, and this side, get that out of the way. And the thing I love about this is all the different flavors work so nicely together, and it all cooks in the squash itself. So there's not a lot of extra thing. Now we are going to cook this filling, but everything else is in the squash. So I'm gonna get a little olive oil in this pan. We'll get these onions started. Right in there. Get them seasoned up. There we go. Stovetop on. Good, I'm gonna give this a little turn here so we can see what we're doing. There we go. And I'm gonna get a little kosher salt in there and some black pepper. I like a lot of black pepper because there's quite a bit of meat going in there. We're a little bit crooked here. Okay, let's see if I can fix this. Sometimes it doesn't like me. That's okay. There we go. I'm messing is not real. All right, so I'll get those onions sweating. If you so choose, you can do a little cover. This is a little small, but it'll still work. And we're gonna open this lamb. And I'm not doing a whole lot with it. We're gonna do the onions and the lamb and a little bit of lemon zest. And then we're gonna go ahead, and once that squash is done, we're going to stuff it in the cavity with some feta cheese and a little bit of sun-dried tomatoes, and we're gonna let that bake again. So it makes a little sauce in there, and it is delish. I'll come back when these are nice and sweated through, and we'll add our meat in. We got a little bit of color on our onions. And don't mind how dark it is today. It's stormy outside, so my whole kitchen is dark. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and add that lamb in. That piece off. And then we're gonna go ahead and season the lamb as well. Some kosher salt, some more pepper. Good, and then we'll just begin breaking it down. Separate it out. I pushed the onions to the side because I don't want them to continue cooking as much. I want the lamb to start cooking. And we're just gonna keep breaking it up. Now at this point you could add more veggies in, so you could actually do some shredded carrots and shredded zucchini, anything that you like. Again, I'm just gonna keep it simple tonight, but you get the idea. Our ground lamb is nice and brown now. I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little bit of citrus to that. So we're gonna add a little bit of zest of one lemon. You always wanna add a little bit of a fresh element. And you might think, how weird, lemon with tomato paste, but that's okay. Those flavors work. So I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little bit of tomato paste, maybe a couple tablespoons. I was not able to find my sun-dried tomatoes, so we're gonna go with tomato paste because we use what we have. And then I have some tapenade, some Katamata olive tapenade. I'm gonna add a little bit of that for some extra boost of flavor. And then we're gonna add some Italian herbs. Now, you can add fresh herbs if you like, which is always the preference. But we're just starting our herb season right now, so while I do have some fresh rosemary, I don't have all the other herbs yet. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and combine all that, and then we'll give it a little taste to make sure we're happy with how it tastes, because we always wanna taste things before they go in the final product if we can. Flavor. Make sure our salt is right on target here. All right, let's get a little taste. We'll cool it off for a second. Good, we're gonna add a little more salt. Now, you also have to remember that the feta is quite salty, so you don't wanna have it overly salty, but just that balance. Now we have our protein, and then we have our squash, which is our veg, and we also have all this free, I call them calorie-free flavors, because it's great to have that. The zest doesn't have any calories, or very little. The seasoning doesn't. The tomato paste is very little. The caramel olive paste has a good amount of brininess to it, so it adds some great flavor there. So we'll let this cool, and then when our squash is done, we're gonna go ahead and load in that feta cheese with our meat mixture, pop it back into the oven till it's nice and bubbly and delicious. Let's have a little look at the squash. It should flake very easily. So you should get those nice spaghetti-like strands. I'm just gonna go around with a fork and just separate it out. So just fluff it up a bit. Do this one. So all I did is I just turn them over and we'll just scoop it out good. Make sure you get that real under part. Whoop, there we go. It's getting a little steamy. Here comes the fun part. We've got our nice block of feta cheese. So right here, nice block of feta. And we're gonna go ahead and place that right in the hot squash. And then we're gonna divide up our lamb into 2 parts. So half is gonna go on one, and you're gonna have to pack it in there. Think about a stuffed pepper. Some of this one. So we're just dividing it up between the 2. Let me pull this aside here. There we go. And you want to pack it in there fairly tightly. Get it all in between these 2. Excellent. Now, an alternative to this is if you are in a hurry, you could just add pesto to it. Or you could add any kind of seasoning, sauce, whatever you like. But I like this particular recipe because I like to have everything in one bowl and make sure I get my protein in there as well. All right, one last thing, we're going to top it with a little bit of You don't have to do this, but who doesn't like some gooey cheese on top? So I'm just putting a little bit of mozzarella on there. So we're just gonna top a little bit here, a little bit over here. And then we're gonna go ahead and put that back into the oven until it's nice and bubbly and we're ready to eat it. Okay, here we go. There it is. Good, I promise you. Listen, do not eat foods that make you sad after eating them. You might go lovingly inside and then you're not feeling great afterwards. There's no reason to do that when you can make something like this that tastes delicious and it's gonna make you happy both in your brain, your gut, and your overall health. So be thinking, what is it doing for my overall health? Make sure that you're hydrating. Make sure that you're fueling your body, that you're moving your body so that you can feel your best. Now, let me take you on a little tour of what I've been dealing with. I don't know if you can hear the thunder, but it is super, super rainy out. And the cows have taken shelter underneath the trees. It is just yucky. Crazy, right? My lovelies, if you've enjoyed today's podcast, I hope that you will subscribe. I hope that you will leave a comment or a review. Try the recipe and let me know what you think. I am always here to help you and I send you lots of love. Feel free to email me if you have show ideas, if you need help with anything. I am here to help you. I send you much love and I pray for you every day.